Good morning, world.
Good morning. Today, I know a lot of you out there, you're raising money, you're working overtime, you're working double shifts, all to raise money to send your child to college. Today, Brian and I are going to talk about why that may or may not be a good idea. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. As you can see here, Ami Horowicz, who we've done some reviews of before, he's a satirist, but he makes some pretty good points. He went to Yale University. Ami went there and he decided to ask people if we should abolish the Constitution of the United States.
Now, where would he even get that idea from?
Yale University?
Yale University. Okay.
Any liberal arts university?
Yes. That's what Yale stands for, a young and liberal experience.
I'm Ami Horowicz, and I'm here on the campus of Yale University, where the students are our future thought leaders. The U.S. Constitution is the guarantor of our rights and the foundation of our freedoms. Or is it?
I like how they call it Ami.
I have a petition to repeal the Constitution of the United States. So what I'm calling for is to repeal the Constitution, of the United States. Just get rid of it in its entirety.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
It's an interesting proposition for sure. Very in support of your energy and your mission.
I mean, that sounds cool. Yeah.
I like it.
That's neat.
That's awesome.
I laud your efforts and I wish you good luck.
All right, so let's just start off. So when you think of Yale University, you think of Yale Law School, Yale and Harvard, and you think these are the people that end up usually going on to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And their job is to uphold the Constitution.
Yes.
So I know these aren't necessarily the law students, but again, it's not easy to get into Yale. You're supposed to be the upper echelon, kids that scored really good on their SATs or got good grades, or some probably really they had family members or some kind of direct line.
Yes.
But these are the ones that end up getting the jobs in higher government. So our government is basically there to uphold the Constitution.
Right.
So we're starting with that premise.
Right. And we talked about earlier how back in 2008 when Obama was elected, how he talked about fundamentally changing how we do this country, tearing down the foundation. If you think about it in architectural terms, tearing down the foundation of something, it's pretty dangerous. Yeah. You know, if you just completely eradicate the foundation and start anew, there's no telling what you're going to get next.
These kids are not underprivileged, and yet they want to get rid of the system that's helped the most amount of people get out of poverty in the world. Yeah. Again, just using that as a premise.
It was created in a racist and white supremacist.
You got to take that one.
It was created in a racist and white supremacist context. It was. Now, it was created during time during slavery, where blacks were viewed as property. But if you look at it now, and then I get this argument a lot from people.
Wait, before you go on there, though, back then, Africa had slaves. In fact, they were the ones selling. They were the ones selling us the slaves.
Right.
Europe had slaves. Yeah. Most of the country, the Middle East, still has slaves.
Yes.
So okay, yes, that is a factual statement. But look at it in its totality. It was at a time when we know that is wrong, but it's not that we were unique.
Right. Oh yeah. Exactly.
In doing that.
Exactly.
And we'll go on to show that the framers actually wanted to keep it open so that slavery would be abolished, which it was.
It was.
Yeah.
And that's why I said in 2021 is so different than 1968 with the end of Jim Crow. And people in the comment section argue that point me a lot. Well, things weren't fair for blacks in 1960. I'm like, please explain to me what it has to do with 2021. What is going on right now in your life today, the June 3rd, which by the way is my birthday. What is going on today, June 3rd?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. That is stopping you from going to Yale, from going to Harvard, from becoming a doctor. And I know we had one guy that commented saying, well, what we said, this is the Asians, and no, you brought the Asians. He said, what's keeping
Asians and the Nigerians.
And these people come over. That's why we have such a border control problem now, because still to this day, there are people clamoring to get over here. Why? Because I don't see anyone knocking down the door to Venezuela or Cuba to get over there. There's a reason these people are coming over here, because they know there's opportunity. And that's because of the foundation of the Constitution.
Yeah, and we don't have a wall keeping people in.
Right.
Context. You agree that it's kind of a racist document at this point?
It is.
What's racist?
I feel like it's a white supremacist document.
Oh, for sure, yeah, for sure.
Do you feel it disenfranchises black people?
Yeah.
The Constitution?
Yeah.
I think this whole country is good though.
No, I'm with you.
It's a white supremacist document.
Okay, so this is a good time to kind of just, for people that, and I'm sure most of you don't, let's just go over, the Constitution actually is pretty boring. It's more of a legal document.
Right.
It's the amendments to the Constitution that people get into, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, things like that. The actual Constitution, the first article is basically setting up the legislative powers.
Right.
And then the first, second, and third, it sets up the judicial, and then and then the Senate and the House, and then the executive, the presidency. That's basically, it's a boring document, but we need a foundation, like Cedric said, in order to build. There's nothing racist in those 7 articles of the
there's
Constitution.
Nothing it's only applicable to white people.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that at all.
Yeah, maybe people get confused on this supremacy clause. They say if they don't know what that means, they think it is a supremacist clause.
One of my favorite movies is The Pursuit of Happiness. In that movie, Will Smith's character talks about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say this is only something that's attainable for white people. Yeah. So for those of you who want to go out, like we talked before, the immigrants that come here, as long as they want to pursue it, they have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, if you want to go to school, get a good education, get a good job, you have a right to do that if you choose to.
Yep. And so I'm going to set clear this supremacy clause. So, because maybe with these kids that probably have never read the Constitution, yet they heard that term, and they think, oh, that must mean white supremacy. Mm-hmm. Article 6, the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties entered into by the United States are the supreme law of the land. This is known as the Supremacy Clause. It has nothing to do with white supremacy.
That's called taking something out of context.
Oh my goodness. So if you haven't, if you don't get into all of the weeds, we did the Cliff Notes version of the Constitution. I have the whole Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all its amendments right here. You get it from the Cato Institute. It's not very long. You can read the whole thing. But if you just want basically a Cliff Notes version, go and find that on cliffnotes.com and look up the Constitution. And it's going to give you all articles. It's going to give you 7 articles, give you a synopsis of it, and then you can say, is there anything racist in that? Now, we know that the country, when it was formed, there was slavery. There was slavery around the globe. And we also know that we fought a bloody civil war and ended slavery with the 13th Amendment to the Constitution that abolished slavery in 1865. So that was 100 years before the Jim Crow laws. Right. So yes, we had horrible things happen after slavery was abolished with Jim Crow laws of the South. Those do not, that was now, well, I should know because it was when you were, I think it was 68, so when you were 1 year old, that's when the Jim Crow laws were abolished, so that was 52 years ago. Mm-hmm. All right, that's a couple generations ago.
54
years.
54. I'm 54 today. Oh, yeah. This is 54, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm right behind him at 56. So, all right, let's go on.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah,
Very much drafted in white supremacy and debate everything that you said. I agree with.
I say burn it down, and then
Construct race from the ashes. Yeah, honestly, we're at that point.
Don't forget to vote.
No.
Do you feel the Constitution has any relevance to you at all?
I mean, when you put it like that,
Pause.
To answer that question, no.
Do you think
So no, it has no relevance.
Then why is he there?
Exactly.
If this is not applicable to him in his life, how are you at Yale University, one of the most prestigious universities in the entire land?
I know.
If it has no relevancy to you at all. That is the definition of
hypocrisy. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there.
But it's both. It's a damn shame and it's hypocrisy. He's standing there wearing, he's probably got his $1,000 Apple phone, and he's got a nice shirt and clothes, and he's at Yale University.
Yeah. And this doesn't mean that things can't get better. They can. Obviously, it wasn't until 1865 that we had the 13th Amendment. So we had horrible slavery. Obviously, we kept amending things, and they can still be amended today with I think it's 2/3. Is it 2/3 of Congress has to pass? Fact check me on that. I think it's 2/3, 4/5. I don't know. So it can grow, but that's the amendments, the basic fundamentals of the Constitution, which is what Ami is asking. That is the foundation, like Cedric said, that sets up the rules. Basically says that we're going to have 3 branches as checks and balances, which the Democrats right now are trying to throw in. Let's pack the Supreme Court so we have all 3 branches of government. Then you have no checks and balances. We don't want that. We wouldn't want it on either side.
Right.
We want those checks and balances. You don't just change the rules to change that. And that's what the Constitution does. And it also sets us up as a federalist system, a Republican system, a republic system, so that you have individual states being able to govern their states. And like we said, they're little experiments, which thank God during COVID, we could look at states like Texas and Florida and show graphs and show that the mandates on coronavirus were no difference between the states that completely locked down. Right. So I know people think, oh, well, it just makes sense. We should lock down. It's going to be better. But there is no science to that. And the graphs, now we can look back a year and a half and know that, hey, look, we had these experimental states and they bear out and say, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the Constitution. Like we were just saying, like you have to have that fundamental premise for anything, whether it be sports, whether it be in government. And you can make amendments and stuff like Brian was talking. Okay, blacks are no longer slaves. Women can vote. You make small tweaks, but what the left is talking about and Democrats are like abolishing everything and starting from scratch. We can't do that.
Yeah, and to be fair, we're not saying that the Democrats in Congress, maybe Nancy, want to get rid of it, but these are your future representatives, senators, or Congress people. They're going to Yale. These are the schools. Yale and Harvard is where people usually come from that go into these positions because they know that they can just get a payday off of the public for the rest of their life. So they are kind of smart.
Yeah.
You think the Constitution has any relevance to you in your life? Anything in it?
I mean, I think it's, I don't know.
There's no freedom, so to speak.
I already said it. Why is he there?
No freedom.
If there's no freedoms, how did you as a black man get admitted to Yale University? And again, so we don't know if he's a student or maybe, God forbid, he might be a professor or a TA.
Wow.
But if that was the case, if he doesn't have any freedoms, you wouldn't be at Yale University.
In the Constitution.
Are you Ami Horowicz?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
This guy did not sign my petition.
Here, I'll sign.
Thank you.
Sure, why not?
Thank you. 65% of everyone I spoke with signed my petition to get rid of the Constitution of the United States of America.
I'll sign.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Sure, man. I mean, I agree with you.
I mean,
I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. This woman was sitting around all day trying to get people to sign up to vote. She didn't get a single person. Considering what we just witnessed, I was thankful.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what to say. That means they're already getting indoctrinated in high school, which we talked about.
Yeah, we know that.
So, and this is just about the foundation of the country. And we say it's the best country on earth. Of course, when you talk to the people on the left, they don't think that. So this makes sense. But to be teaching it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I've been having these battles with people in the comment section for months now, ever since Brian and I started our YouTube channel. And I always say the same thing. I echo what Brian says, that we are the best country on earth. I didn't say we're the most perfect country on earth. We're not. That doesn't exist. But if you go around and you compare us to other countries around the world, we are the best thing going. Do we need some improvements? Absolutely. That's why we amend things. We tweak things. We don't completely tear it all down and start from scratch again. But we're the best thing happening. And just to echo what I said earlier, that's why immigrants are coming here.
Yeah.
And no one leaves here to go someplace else, especially people that complain.
Maybe just to retire.
Right. But you always hear like these younger kids in high school is like, oh, America sucks and socialists. Like, and remember when Whoopi Goldberg said she was going to leave when Donald Trump was elected? She's still here doing that news show, The View.
Like Cedric just said, you can always improve things, but when you start from the position of building a utopia, which a lot of people, even since we were kids, that's what they think you can have. But you have human beings. We are all flawed. You can't have a utopia. What you want to do is you just want to have what's best for the most amount of people and the people that want to accept those. Some people, they think this is a terrible country, so they come to that mindset and they don't see everything that's around them. They're not grateful. Let's go to a comment and keep bringing in those video comments. We want to put some more video comments up.
Absolutely.
But Cedric wanted to talk a little bit about critical race theory. I think it kind of fit this anyways.
Yeah.
So I've been having a little back and forth with one of our...
Yes, you have.
Okay, this comes from Joseph Cornell. So, Joseph, again, thanks for watching the show. I hope we don't get you too triggered.
No.
It says, his first one was, do you think it's just coincidence? I'm sorry, this is about our critical race theory video.
Yes.
So go back and watch that if you haven't watched it. Do you think it's a coincidence Puerto Ricans, blacks, and indigenous people are doing the worst in the United States? So I responded, I said, as a group, and you can look this up, Nigerians and Asians are at or near the top when it comes to socioeconomic in this country. That tells me it's culture, not race. And you can, I'm not in the elite, but you can throw Jews are in that too, which are a very small minority, but they do very successful because of the culture. And we know, we did an episode on this, that Jews as a group are actually the most hate crime is committed against them of any other group, even against blacks. And I know not in raw numbers, but as a percentage of how many Jews there are. So I said that, and then he comes back and he says, Asia is an entire continent. So he missed the point.
Yeah, we're talking about
I was talking about
here.
Asians in the United States and Nigerians that come to the United States. So his point is, on his original point, is that blacks and Puerto Ricans and indigenous people do the worst. And so I'm saying, well, as far as I've seen, most of the Nigerians that come over here are black.
Right.
And they are one of the most successful groups.
Yes.
So it cannot be because of the color of their skin and that they're systemically racist against them.
Right. Now, the ones that are born here, I think he's talking about that. But then I'm not going to go into the whole...
But then again, that goes back to
homes.
culture again.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with the color of your skin. If you're Nigerian and you come over here with your culture, and your culture is, I'm going to work hard, get an education, and be successful, then it has nothing to do with the color of skin. So that defeats his point, and that's why critical race theory, I don't believe, teaches anything that's positive. And you wanted to go off on critical race theory.
Okay, I mean, and we've been getting a lot of comments about the critical race theory. And I want to talk about that really quick from the scientific method. Now, this is my middle school education on science. You look at most things, you start off with an hypothesis, and then you go into a theory, and then it becomes a law. And out there, whether you're right or left or Democratic or Republican, I think we can all agree that the law of gravity is a law. And at one time, that started out as a hypothesis, and then it became a theory, and then it became a law. You can throw a rock, an apple off a building, and you can yell at the top of your voice, the law of gravity doesn't work. And you can continue saying it as that object falls to the ground, but no matter how you feel about it, the law works because there's enough evidence there to prove that it works. Critical race theory just jumped to the fact that they were already looking for a conclusion. And like Brian was saying, it's like if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. That's not how science works. You look at the empirical evidence, and if it shows a conclusion, then as a true scientist, you have to go with that conclusion. But critical race theory starts with the premise of there is race in everything. There's racism in everything. Well, you've already proved your point. You don't give the science to take a chance to work. And that's all I want to say about critical race theory. It's starting with the premise of there's racism in everything. So you're going to find it.
And let's take race out of it. Let's like a funny example. If you say every time somebody gives you a look, you're going to kind of look at yourself and like, what are they looking at? Now, if you happen to be a recognizable minority and you just take that look for, oh, it's because I'm X, I'm black, or I'm Asian, or I'm wearing a yarmulke, or whatever the case may be, that, like Cedric said, that is what you are going to see. Your reality is going to be that. And they're teaching kids to look for that. So now, you wonder why these people seem so unhappy that are out protesting.
Right.
It's because they are unhappy, because they're looking for the worst in people and finding it.
They find it.
Yeah.
They find it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we thank you guys for watching this. Again, continue leaving the comments. We try and answer each and every one. I'm falling a little behind on that, but I will make sure I get back on that. But make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and continue to share our videos with everyone you know. And please, please, please James Brown used to say that. Please continue being good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
I'm Brian. See you later.